Hi everyone. Nature often showcases its power through natural disasters, and floods are one of its favorite ways to remind us of its might. Check out this compilation to witness some of the most sudden and massive displays of nature's force. Let's get started. People often don't realize the true power of cyclones until they encounter one themselves. This is precisely what happened recently. The Mediterranean cyclone unleashed torrential rains on Genoa, dumping 4 times the monthly average in just 24 hours. Streams and rivers overflowed, inundating streets and sweeping away everything in their path. Imagine, just a few days ago, it was an ordinary town, and suddenly it was submerged under tons of water. Unbelievable, right? Heavy rain and melting snow can result in severe flooding, as seen in a Canadian city recently. Extra streams of water poured into the city through drainage systems intended to direct excess water from the mountains. Notice how effortlessly the strong current is eroding roads and house foundations by the river. It's unbelievable how all that hard work put into building them is wiped out in no time. This video resembles a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie, but unfortunately, it's real. It's the aftermath of a storm that triggered a massive fire in the Italian city of Siona. The incredibly strong winds knocked down trees, heavy rainfall flooded the city, and eventually, a short circuit in a car park caused several car batteries to explode. In no time, the fire spread, destroying about 1,500 cars. The entire scene looks incredibly devastating. This restaurant on Lake Ohrid in Macedonia was hit hard after a storm caused massive waves to crash into the building. As people stood clutching the doors of the restaurant, water came pouring in and flooded the building. Can you believe how wild the weather got in sunny Italy? When a powerful storm hit Catan, Sicilians could hardly recognize their own town. For days, heavy rains drenched the region, accompanied by strong winds. Imagine having to go to work in such conditions. They had to wade through nearly 1.5 feet of rainwater. Due to nature's sudden mood swings, authorities had to declare the highest level of danger to protect the city's residents and prevent casualties. When these people bought their home, they wanted to be closer to the sea. They didn't worry about the unusual water level, and when the tide receded, the ocean seemed farther away. Little did they know that an earthquake in the Aegean Sea would someday lead to unforeseen consequences. The tremors triggered a tsunami that slammed into the coastal buildings, including this charming house. The force of the wave was so strong it busted the door wide open and flooded every room. Imagine the homeowner's shock when she returned to find this whole mess. On that day, workers in Puerto Rico could only stand by helplessly as floodwaters tore the bridge from its foundation and carried it downstream. Heavy rainfall from Hurricane Fiona caused severe flooding, leading to this devastating event. Despite Fiona's sweet and innocent name, the impact was undeniably severe. Now, let's see how it looked from the opposite bank. This bridge was constructed right after the last major storm. It's surprising that, even with that in mind, they couldn't design it to withstand the next one. It's astonishing how easily the water washed away such a large, solid metal structure. Another beautifully named hurricane wreaked havoc. Hurricane Nora swept across Mexico, bringing an extraordinary amount of rain, far exceeding normal levels, which caused river water levels to surge dramatically. Unfortunately, a bridge couldn't withstand the torrent and collapsed right in front of onlookers. Despite warnings and roadblocks, people gathered to witness the storm's fury. Their reactions made it clear they didn't anticipate the bridge to be utterly demolished. The Edenville Dam, spanning 1.2 miles and standing nearly 55 feet tall, was no match for the force of nature when the area experienced record-breaking rainfall. The dam burst, unleashing powerful torrents of water downstream towards the nearest town. In addition to the significant damage to the town, the surrounding environment suffered greatly. The lake created by the dam was almost entirely drained. It's astonishing to think that heavy rainfall can trigger a sequence of events with such devastating effects. This disturbing footage shows the aftermath of a dam breach in Michigan. Following 3 days of relentless rain, the dam gave way, releasing vast amounts of water. The swift current quickly reached the nearest town. Authorities evacuated several thousand people as numerous homes were submerged. Furthermore, the water flow also reached a second dam downstream. Streets in nearby towns were flooded several feet deep, compelling residents to leave their homes and seek higher ground as the water steadily rose around them. Houses built below sea level get damaged by rising stormwater. A surveillance camera in a Swiss village recorded the moment a landslide hit a carpentry workshop. In just a few minutes, the muddy flow engulfed the workshop and its surroundings. Despite appearing slow and relatively harmless, landslides can easily destroy structures. Homes in the village were also damaged, but fortunately residents evacuated in time and were unharmed. You might be curious about where all these branches and logs came from. According to a researcher, the situation in Switzerland can be explained as follows. When the soil is dry, it can't absorb water as it usually would. So, when a hurricane struck the town after a prolonged drought, the rivers filled up much quicker. The swift current swept up all the dried sticks and tree debris, not only from the riverbed but also from the shores. It looks epic. Have you ever seen waves this huge? In San Sebastian, people experience them every fall. Tourists even flock here just to witness this epic spectacle, and it really is impressive. Some brave souls walk along the waterfront to feel the thrill of a massive wave approaching. I bet it looks 1,000 times more amazing in person. The key is to always prioritize safety when chasing that adrenaline rush and getting unexpectedly drenched by a giant wave. Severe flooding washes over the road but is relieved by the arrival of backhoes to clear debris.
Yeah, look, it's right up on my camera.
It's coming down.
In 2022, Yellowstone National Park in the USA experienced its worst flooding in a century. An enormous amount of rainfall hit just as the snow was melting, causing river levels to rise rapidly and flood the park. Thousands of visitors had to be evacuated by park staff before they could fully enjoy their outdoor adventures. The most alarming part was the storm's impact on infrastructure, washing away roads and reaching some homes. The rushing water eroded the shores, causing houses to collapse into the water like toys. Thankfully, park staff managed to warn everyone in time, and no one was injured. It's nearly impossible to find someone who hasn't heard about the events in Dubai in mid-April 2024. The financial hub of the Middle East was hit by a rare flood due to unusually heavy rains, transforming streets into waterways. This unexpected weather left the world baffled. Locals, used to droughts, and tourists, expecting intense heat, were both taken by surprise. Travelers were especially shocked as airports flooded and numerous flights were rescheduled or canceled. Despite any plans people make, nature always has the final say. Usually, Agar Waterfall isn't very grand, but recent heavy rains have transformed it into a much larger cascade. The intense downpours led to several unpleasant consequences, with the waterfall's overflow being a major one. Agar's waters flooded the downtown area and waterfront, submerging the ground floors of buildings. You can't help but sympathize with the locals. They surely never expected their pride and joy, the waterfall. It's kind of strange, isn't it, that all these people aren't in a hurry to escape from the strong water current. As crazy as it sounds, for them, it's just another day. This valley in Saudi Arabia thrives on the excess water from a local dam. Thanks to the year-round flow, the valley is incredibly lush and green compared to the surrounding arid landscape. It's like stepping into a real-life fairy tale oasis. It's no surprise that locals love coming here to marvel at the beauty and even enjoy the excitement of the dam releasing water. When nature works its magic, it's truly captivating. This slow mud flow doesn't look very threatening, does it? You might think rivers with faster currents would be more dangerous, but that's the trick of nature. The people of Carbina Bararia likely never imagined this sluggish stream could cause any harm, and they probably weren't too worried when authorities ordered a preemptive evacuation. Then they witnessed it firsthand. That footbridge collapsed like it was made of Lego blocks, not metal. The mud flow carried away all the debris. After seeing this, people definitely started taking weather warnings more seriously. Some managed to get close-up shots of the mud flow. These images reveal that a mud flow is more than just water. It carries rocks and debris, making it highly destructive. Even at a slow pace, a mud flow can destroy large structures and severely damage buildings. For those in flat areas, these shots are astonishing. Tourists were amazed by what they saw. Flash flooding in Brooklyn has caused chaos and severe damage. After prolonged heavy rains, water levels rose rapidly, inundating streets and residential areas, paralyzing traffic and severely impacting the lives of residents. Here's what happened in Midland, Michigan, after a severe flood. It all began with heavy rains relentlessly pounding the southern part of the peninsula, with this county being hit the hardest. But it wasn't just the rain that caused the trouble, it was what came afterward. Water levels surged in lakes, rivers, and reservoirs. Soon, one dam broke, followed by another succumbing to the powerful floodwaters. thousands of people had to flee their homes, leaving everything behind to stay safe. Climate change can be quite baffling. Last year, a massive wildfire broke out in the canyon near the city. The following summer, the same area was hit by heavy rains. In less than 20 minutes, 5 inches of rain fell, which is several times higher than the monthly average. The city streets turned into raging rivers with currents strong enough to sweep away cars. Residents stood by in shock, helpless to do anything. This was the last thing tourists expected when visiting a paradise like Bali. Instead of leisurely strolling along sandy beaches and swimming in emerald waters, they watched in horror as a small tsunami swept over the shoreline. Although Kung Kong is a popular spot for surfers, few would dare to challenge waves like these. Witness the aftermath of heavy rains in the city of CBA. The downpour lasted for 2 consecutive days, and meteorologists confirmed it was the heaviest rainfall in 27 years. Nearly 4,000 residents had to evacuate and find shelter. While searching for victims, rescuers filmed this video to document the extensive damage. It probably took over a month to address the aftermath of this natural disaster. Here's an interesting fact. Areas located in river deltas are highly susceptible to storms. As you can see on the screen, this storm is particularly intense, with wind gusts reaching up to 130 feet per second. Even the shoreline defenses couldn't withstand the massive waves crashing in, causing widespread flooding. Just look at how far the water has reached. In addition to the waterfront, residential homes and hotels near the sea are also flooded. Many people regretted booking rooms so close to the water that day. Flash flooding in Istanbul has caused chaos and severe damage. After prolonged heavy rains, water levels rose rapidly, turning streets and residential areas into rushing rivers. This inundation paralyzed traffic and severely impacted the lives of residents. During the flooding in Chang'an province, river levels rose so high that they not only reached the bridges, but also swept away some of the structures. Watch how quickly the water carried off one of the buildings. You can feel the operator's emotions. It's a blend of awe at nature's power and a chill at its sheer force. Seeing something like this makes you realize that on Earth, nature is in charge, not humans. Owning a house by the river with a beautiful view sounds like a dream, until something like this happens. The chaos was caused by Cyclone Yak, which unleashed its fury on the outskirts and near rivers. These areas usually feel safe even during heavy rains, but this cyclone demonstrated nature's power. Overflowing rivers eroded banks and undermined house foundations. Authorities managed to warn people in time, preventing any casualties, but residents were still shaken by how quickly the elements destroyed their homes. The overflowing river in Plantos, Guatemala, forced many families to flee their homes after heavy rains. The city faced unprecedented flooding, and residents were urged to evacuate to safer areas. Some captured footage of the rushing water sweeping through the streets, carrying everything in its path. Coastal homes suffered the most, as the water eroded the sand, causing heavy buildings to collapse into the river. It was an incredibly terrifying scene. You might be surprised, but this was caused by avalanches at the upper reaches of the river. A blockage formed, leading to a sudden rush of water downstream, overflowing the river's banks and flooding the city streets. Picture the disbelief on people's faces as they went about their daily routines. Thankfully, there were no casualties, but the challenges were significant. After Hurricane AA hit, Philadelphia resembled a scene from a disaster movie. The storm caused one of the worst floods in the state's history. The main highway downtown was completely submerged, and some buildings were nearly underwater up to the second floor. Locals were unprepared for such devastation, and those living on the first floors were hit the hardest. Although no one was injured, the extent of the damage experienced by both the authorities and the residents of the city is truly alarming. D is a breathtaking national park featuring a large canyon. In the past, it served as a crucial water source for the area because of a spring at the bottom of the canyon. Today, it's mainly visited by tourists, and one lucky group got to witness a small flood firsthand. Not long ago, they were walking along the dry steps of the canyon when they suddenly watched those steps get flooded with rainwater. It's an incredibly rare sight, and they were truly fortunate to witness it. Residents of a small village in Among were treated to a rare spectacle when a dried-up riverbed was replenished by rainwater. Heavy rainfall is uncommon in this desert country, so the villagers were astonished to see such a powerful flow of water, which even spilled onto the road. Undoubtedly, the people in this little village will be talking about this extraordinary event for a long time. A group of people in Alaska intentionally parked by the dried-up river channel to witness the impending flood. They captured stunning footage of the water flowing in. It's fortunate there were no cars on the road at that time. The big valley filled with water, and the powerful current washed away the road, leaving a massive hole where asphalt once lay. When people heard about it on the news, they came to see it for themselves. They were both stunned and impressed by nature's rapid transformation, a testament to the power and unpredictability of the natural world. In recent years, India has faced an increase in spontaneous disasters, driven by changing weather patterns and blocked drainage systems. Cities quickly become flooded after heavy rainfall, bringing life to a standstill. Neighborhoods struggle, with residents unable to leave their homes. In these situations, we can only hope that by treating nature with more respect, it will become more merciful to us in return. This picturesque scene isn't just a natural fountain. It's the aftermath of a reservoir dam leak in Uzbekistan. The flooding caused extensive damage, impacting roads, buildings, utilities, and agricultural facilities. 10 villages were submerged, and authorities evacuated over 30,000 people. These images capture only a fraction of the devastation. The total losses from the incident amounted to nearly $1 million. It's astonishing how something as ordinary as water flow can lead to such immense destruction. The man kayaking on flooded street. Hawaii has been hit by flooding and landslides as Hurricane Lane nears. Residents in Hawaii are preparing for Hurricane Lane in Big Island, and sirens are already announcing the oncoming storm. Santa Catarina is facing severe flooding, and the situation seems very difficult with water having entered residents' homes. The ongoing rain in Brazil is only making matters worse. Residents in the area need to follow the authorities' instructions, prepare for emergency measures, and keep a close eye on weather updates. Hopefully, the situation will improve soon, and everyone can stay safe. Maui is currently facing severe flooding due to heavy rainfall across the entire island of Hawaii. The intense rain has led to rising water levels, causing widespread flooding and severely affecting residents' lives. Roads may be cut off, and water may have already entered many homes.
Okay, on the highway. Safe out there, and do not come towards Haiku Way. It's completely impassable.
Oh my god, is it getting in the house yet? Oh my. Wow. Something else. The incredible power of water. Holy cow.
I've never seen it like this. Where's Paul at? Oh man! Oh, bro! I'll tell you what, man. This is. Woo!
Highway right here. This is on a highway. That's where